Welcome back, everyone. I'm Julian Pastrytime Khan, adding the sugar to my spice, and everything nice is Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley.
That makes me think of the Powerpuff Girls.
Certainly does. I'm gearing up for the next match of the day as Team Dignitas are taking on FlyQuest. Now, Team Dignitas come into this match after a tough 0-2 week against the top teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rough week for them going 0-2, but they were up against some of the best competition, and both of those series started out very well. They had super strong game ones. They're certainly capable of having dominant wins, but they need to be able to be consistent, not just week to week, but within the series. And
if they want to prove they're still a top team, winning against a slumping FlyQuest is frankly a must.
It really is, and FlyQuest, their way to win is probably through the early game. That has been kind of their lone bright spot. They do seem to be able to establish leads. They just don't seem to really know what to do with them. Once they do get ahead, they struggle in the mid game, they struggle in the late game, and for FlyQuest, they've been having this very one-dimensional style. It's been all about the early game, and it's something that Dignitas can look to really exploit.
Well, let's check out the starting lineups with all that in mind. On the blue side, to kick us off, it is Team Dignitas. The monster himself in the top side, it's Someday. Jungler Shrimp this time around. Mid laner Keen, bot laner Lord, support Big, and of course, Coach Cop.
A lot getting the start today, but their opponents on the red side are going to be FlyQuest. In the top lane, Balls. In the jungle, Moon. Mid lane High, bot and support will be Lemon Nation and Wild Turtle with Coach Thinkard.
And thank you for reminding me that Lod is in. Of course, we did see Altec last time the team played Dig. Certainly have been mixing it up here and there. It's nice to see, again, a lot of teams really take their 6-7-man rosters really to heart and try and get all of their players some start time. But I think, in general, it kind of speaks to what Dig's going through. They've got a pretty good foundation, but trying to build up and get to that next level. And yes, dropping games to the top teams feels bad, even if it might be a bit expected, because this is a team that also wants to be up in that conversation in the top 4.
Yeah, and they're really the only team in that top 4, top 5 that seem like there's some roster uncertainty, not really sure who's going to be starting AD, not really sure who's going to be starting at support. Even their jungler has been kind of swapped back and forth a bit. So it's the team with the most uncertainty around them at the top of the standings, and they definitely want to not only get consistent with their play, but with their roster. If you have a solid 5 that you are locked down on, or even a substitution schedule that makes sense, like kind of Cloud9 has in their top lane, then you can really start to build on that and look to improve week to week.
Well, we'll see what happens here in the draft. 2 high-based bans there for Dignitas. Cassidy and Corki going to get the nod versus Zac and Galio. FlyQuest looks like they'll be sticking to standard stuff on the red side. We'll see if Dig, though, have one more target ban for Fly, or if they're going to mix things up for their final Phase 1 ban as Rumble gets taken away from Balls.
I think it makes quite a bit of sense here from Team Dignitas' side. A lot of people feel like when FlyQuest is doing well, it's all through High. It's through High, the High Moon combo, and then it's through High being able to roam around the map, especially if LeBlanc is going to be left open. You can ban out some of the difficult matchups for that. So Keen is going to have pretty advantageous mid lane already, unless High has some sort of crazy counter pick that he's been preparing.
I mean, if there's anyone, it's going to be High that will have something up his sleeve, but we'll see how FlyQuest respond. There's Elise to start it off, so very standard first pick jungler. I think jungler's in a pretty interesting spot given the breadth of junglers we have in the NALCS. Lots of different picks you can have. I think Elise sort of defaults to the best pick, but lots to talk about Rek'Sai. Maybe the tank junglers are shuffling back in, and there's Braum also for Fly. So sticking to the standards here for FlyQuest.
It would be interesting, though. We haven't seen a ton of them, but Malzahar actually slams LeBlanc pretty hard. That is a matchup that's super hard for LeBlanc to do almost anything in. If you ever distort forward and you get ulted in a team fight, it's pretty much lights out. You can have the push in lane very easily as well. So not sure if High is comfortable on that pick or if it's something that he can look to be bringing out. Obviously, you can just play Orianna or whatever, something more standard, but that is a pick that I feel is being very underutilized in the meta right now.
One of the people that have actually played it is High himself, so there's a possibility here. But Lee Sin and actually Morgana might put a wrench in the Malzahar plan. Have to see what the lock-in's going to be, and High is going to stick it back to the Orianna. A champion that he's perfectly capable on, but I feel like has never really fit the FlyQuest style to me.
Yeah, it's always felt like FlyQuest at their best are, this kind of high-flying, action-packed team where they're doing a lot of roaming, where they're making a lot of plays, and they're playing faster than their opponents. And Orianna is very much the standard kind of more slow-paced play style that High has never really succeeded on with FlyQuest.
No, certainly not, but certainly a strong pick, and FlyQuest are playing very standard here in their first 3 picks. Shen, though, will be their first ban in Phase 2, answered by Renekton from Dignitas, actually. So that'll be the 2 top lane bans taken out already.
And it's also fair to say, Hai has had some very good individual performances on Orianna. It just has not really felt like that was the team's identity most of the time. Orianna is super standard, though. It's most of the mid laners' most played champion. It's very, very strong as far as you can wave clear out. You have powerful team fighting later, and they are drafting along with the Braum. Already some pretty powerful team fight combos that you can look to pull off. We'll have to see where Someday and Balls are going to go. I mean, already more attention being thrown over Balls' ways in the pick ban. 3 bans on him. A lot of people would consider Someday versus Balls to be a mismatch, but that being said, I think Balls has actually been performing very well throughout this split and above a lot of people's expectations, despite the fact that FlyQuest is not having a good season.
No, and the top laners will get a final ban each. Fiora versus Kennen for Someday and Balls respectively, as Camille's actually locked in here. So actually a top lane pick with the Braum already locked in. Very rarely see this flexed.
Yeah, and Fiora being banned away is pretty critical there because that is actually a very tough matchup and one of the carries you could play into it. That being said, if Someday does want to go the carry route, there are a lot of other carries that are very powerful into it, even something like Jax, which we've seen Darshan just bring out, but you can just play something simple like Gragas in top lane. You can play very, very standard and look to kind of just even up that matchup. That being said, I do think that Someday has the ability to go for a carry style and try to win in that split push because he is an extremely good split push player.
I think also just given how the draft is being built, 1-3-1 is a very viable strategy for Dignitas here, given that they've got the LeBlanc locked in already. Jhin could complement that potential 3, joining Morgana and Lee, and there's the Jax you predicted.
There you go. So Jax actually going to come out as predicted there. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's one of those things that I'm like, I think this is a good matchup, but I don't actually think they're going to play it.
Yeah.
And, he does bring it out. This is very exciting, and it does actually show a lot of confidence from Someday because you are left without much of a true front line. Sure, Lee Sin can build somewhat tanky, but generally speaking, you're going 2 damage items. Jax is not really that solid front line, so you do have to really commit now to this 1-3-1 play style. You want to have LeBlanc and Jax split pushing, taking over those side lanes, and I think it's something that they certainly can do with these comps.
And this last pick I really like for FlyQuest as well. I was wondering when Total was going to go back to Tristana, given how popular she was getting, but it's their final pick here in this draft. I think it complements the rest of their comp really well. FlyQuest have a lot of good ways to start fights, which has always been the thing they need, and the cleanup crew is pretty good as well.
I mean, their initiation is pretty solid if Balls wants to group up with that Camille, but outside of Camille, you have to try to hit a Cocoon or, a Flash Braum Ultimate or something like that. FlyQuest is certainly drafting for an extremely strong 5v5. The question is, will they ever have the opportunity to actually get it, right? Because that's not something that Dignitas is going to want to opt into unless they're in a very advantageous position, unless they have a great flank or very far ahead. They want to slow this game down, spread it out, and look to exploit those 1v1 matchups.
I think so as well, and Dig certainly have shown that, they've got incredibly talented laners. I think Kane is pretty underrated, despite being a bit inconsistent. Sunday's been incredible, and topside in general for Dignitas, Shrimps look great, especially on a jungle like Lee Sin. I think Dig well set up here. I like their draft a lot. Even something like the Morgana pick, which you don't see that often, is kind of cool to see. I think my biggest question for FlyQuest, apart from can they find the 5v5s, is do they have the discipline to not play at the speed they normally play at? Because this is the kind of comp where you need to have a little bit of patience, and that is the one thing FlyQuest have been very bad at giving themselves.
Well, they have had some really good early games, and if you can get ahead, they certainly have a lot of ways to push the pace as far as sieging turrets, maybe not picking those fights, but you can definitely siege up, with the protection of the Braum and the Orianna there for Wild Turtle. Tristana is one of the best sieging AD carries. So I am excited to see if they can actually pull that off, if they can get an early game lead.
Well, we'll see what happens here in game number 1 as the teams will move out onto Summoner's Rift. Double TP as expected there for Dignitas, and no real surprises on the FlyQuest sides. We'll see if maybe some invades are happening. If there's a team to get frisky at level 1, it's FlyQuest with a Braum.
Yeah, they definitely are one that likes to look for the invades. And Camille, if you can actually find someone, you can actually level up that kind of hook shot, and that's what he's going to go for.
Leveled up already, a jump instantly onto Lod, flash forward, last order, it's going to stun, and FlyQuest looking for the kill, they'll dive the turret level 1, Lod uses the heal, had to burn everything to get out there.
I think they maybe could have committed for that, but the question is, how close is the rest of Dignitas? You can probably get that kill, but if multiple members arrive and you're very low from the turret, it could end up going bad, so still a nice early play here from FlyQuest. But that said, they blew 3 summoners to just get the 2, and Balls is already in a tough matchup. Now he has essentially a worthless level 1 skill in this 1v1, so Someday is going to have heavy lane advantage. If you start with the Counter-Strike, you can bully this out pretty hard, and Balls is really going to have to wait for level 3 before he can even attempt to do anything.
Yep, no flash as well for Balls, so we'll see if Shrimp does want to visit there. Fans behind Dignitas right now, though. It looks like somebody's going to help Shrimp out on this blue buff.
I mean, you could even look to do a very cheesy early gank. Shrimp is one of the guys who actually is more prone to do these sorts of paths, and he's getting a pretty big leash here from Someday. So you could look to see him do something like blue to his opponent's red to try to gank top. That would not really surprise me.
It was funny because the other jungler that's known for that is actually Moon, and they're on pretty aggressive junglers here, but it looks like at least right now, pretty standard openings. Blue into Gromp for both junglers here, and looks like they'll smite away this camp potentially. No, Shrimp actually going to hold on to it. Moon's actually already cleared that Gromp, so again, looks like maybe just some early jungle clearing happening and no early visitations to the lanes just yet.
And once Someday actually hits the level 2, you can start to go a bit more aggressive in this. If you feel like the jungler is not going to be around, you can level up your Q, simply hop in, use the Counter-Strike. And the Counter-Strike is really what this matchup is about, proper use of that. If you can actually use that to avoid a lot of the damage here from Camille, it can be pretty difficult. Even if Camille's going to land a stun on you with a hook shot, you can actually preemptively pop the Counter-Strike, so you will not really take much damage at all going out of that. So it's pretty tough, I feel like, for Camille, even relatively early on. And in the later stages of the game, I think you're going to get outscaled pretty hard.
It's kind of fun to see somebody that's consistently canceling autos very nicely, but Balls isn't biting. Looks like just going to keep the waves as even as they can, but Balls did safely make it to level 3. Someday actually a little bit far behind in XP because he was late to lane, I think.
Yeah, well, and I mean, he's actually just letting the wave push towards him, so he's trying to play it very carefully. And while Balls does have his flash down, he's showing the respect over to Moon, knows that that combo could be very powerful, and he also knows that he's going to outscale his opponent in the 1v1, so even if you could perhaps get something done early on Jax, there's no real need to try to press that, so he's just going to hold the wave near his turret, and this is making it so that even if Moon did come up top, they couldn't get anything done. Explains
all the fancy S spamming. Making sure those autos didn't come out. Looks like mid lane pressure for High is looking good, although behind in CS, unfortunately for him. As we check him with the bot side, Turtle already demonstrating the ability to buffer out of CC with Tristana's jump. And looks like they're just getting the lane pushed in nice and early. Kane looks for a chain. Does like trying to Shrimps here as well. Q's going to land. He's going to go straight for it onto High. So High trades around and holds onto his summoners.
And it's a nice chunk here from Shrimp because he has not actually gone back to base yet. So his health is not super important right now. He doesn't really care if he takes a little bit of damage there. Likely going to be heading back to base soon. And even if he wants to stay out on the map, Lee Sin has such incredible sustain in the jungle that him losing some health to the turret is actually totally fine, whereas High now has to go back to base.
Yep, gonna lose a wave here as well as he walks back down. Only an amp tome and a refillable potion. Another whole lot itemized there for High, and of course King can go back whenever he wants and TP back to lane if needed. So he's gonna recall now. We'll see what he has to purchase as Someday. Nice little stun there, landing onto Balls. So bit of trade damage back and forth, and kind of as expected, excellent lane control here for Someday.
Yeah, he's doing it very well and able to actually parry the last part of Precision Protocol, that big burst damage that can come out from the Q, so using his parry very intelligently, and that's so much of what playing Jax is about. But Moon is down here, he is spotted.
Aggression here, but Lord actually might be in trouble already. Already got stunned once, Moon gonna chase him with the Cocoon. Misses, first blood does go over, Turtle able to grab it, now hops out of the way as Keen TP's down to seal the trade kill, but Keen now gonna get stunned up, but Big still fighting it out. Moon forced to retreat as Someday aggressive on the Balls once more, but the stun lands back in. Good trade there from the Camille. Really tight stuff here in topside. Someday gonna use the Counter-Strike. Stun isn't gonna hit though. But Balls no cooldowns to go aggressive, and here comes Shrimp.
Yeah, Shrimp is up here. This could be a tough dive to pull off if they want to go for it. I don't think they will. He's more just kind of escorting in that wave, making sure that if anyone comes up, that Someday has the safety, because you are very vulnerable right when you're just before crashing that wave.
And High actually was roaming to the top lane, so good presence of mind there from Shrimp. Gonna get a ward on the Krugs also, so a bit of extra vision into the enemy jungle. Might even be able to get some extra. Does get another ward down onto the Raptor pit, so top to bottom, that red side of FlyQuest jungle warded.
Yeah, it's a nice start here to the fight from FlyQuest. It seems like Claude has pretty much accepted his fate. You feel like maybe he could have kind of flashed out and bought a little bit more time, but does go down. At least they do trade the kill back. That being said, I think First Blood going over on that Tristana is going to make it a pretty nice play for FlyQuest. as long as Keen is not bullying High too hard because of the additional gold that he has picked up.
Yep.
Because High already had been sent back to base earlier and didn't really get a great buy for himself.
CS has been evened up, so we'll see if that continues or if Keen's able to translate that early gold into more of a lead for himself. Total though, the BF sword to the serrated Dirk here, so certainly an advantage in the 2v2 for FlyQuest here in the bottom lane. Otherwise, nothing super fancy happening. King with an early revolver might be able to harass High down nicely, but High's actually got his last chapter already as these very interesting trades continue back and forth. Like you said, this is a very precise matchup.
Yeah, and a lot of Jack's trading is about the third hit. So you'll see him whack a minion twice. The third hit is your ultimate passive, which is that bonus damage. So you look to hit it twice, then you look to jump on your opponent, you get that third hit off, then you use the auto reset with your W. So it's all about these efficient trades. And once you are level 6, you can consistently trade and really look to bully out. But Moon here could be in some trouble.
Good tag there by Shrimp, but Moon into spider form. Doesn't need to pull the trigger on the rappel. A Shrimp not choosing to chase, but Keen. Nice little invade there from the Dignitas midsection. Able to chunk down Moon pretty low.
It'd also be interesting to see if someday is going to rush Triforce or if he's going to go straight for Titanic. There is kind of some debate on this, and in general, most players have moved entirely away from Blade of the Rune King. On Jax, they are going Trinity Force, Titanic, and then Tank. That is kind of the standard high elo build right now. It does allow you to have the auto reset from the Titanic to get that third hit proc off very quickly. It's more HP for team fighting, and it's superior wave clear and push to be able to get those turrets fast. So this is a really nice move from FlyQuest.
Yeah, very proactive, just going to the Infernal Drake, knowing that Dignitas were on some buy time. Is kind of that bottom lane strength bleeding out towards that objective. And even though Balls is struggling a little bit in the lane, he's going to return with the Ninja Tablet. Still has the TP just in case. And he's going to try and keep Someday at bay for as long as possible. But like you mentioned, Jax eventually is going to scale out of control.
Yeah, and although Tabbies are a very efficient build, when you are going the more defensive build as the person who is going to get outscaled, it can sometimes feel pretty bad. Because while you're surviving, you kind of want to do more than that. That being said, it's a long time before Camilla's out of this matchup, and she can certainly make plays around the map. Plus, it is a physical damage jungler on Dignitas' side, so it makes it even more of an efficient item and can help him survive if there is some of that 1v2 pressure.
In general, it feels like the early game in the top half of the map's looking good for Dig, so have to see if Keen can maybe leave the lane a little bit more, because 1v1 it doesn't feel like he's getting a huge lead over High.
But there's no real reason to rush, right? As long as you're doing well across your lanes, you have great scaling in top lane, you're looking to eventually go towards the 1-3-1. Keen did not take a combat summoner. It's TP versus cleanse. So as far as the late game stage there of controlling those sideways, that is going to be an advantage. He'll be able to have more flexibility to move around the map. So game plan is pretty nice so far for Dignitas. The question is kind of, at what point do you move to those side lanes? Can you make a play, knock down a turret, and then kind of unlock that as an option? Because as far as sieging potential, you do certainly give that favor over to Tristana above Jhin.
It does feel like we're going to have to keep watching Turtle here on the Trist. Lightning going to go wide there from Big, as Trist certainly set up to scale nicely into this mid game.
And Big has actually been playing so much Morgana recently. Originally when he brought it out against Immortals, I was kind of thinking, hey, this is more of a takeaway from Olay, but then he was playing it against CLG. Now he's playing it against FlyQuest, so it just seems to be more of a comfort pick for him, and he's kind of making it his own. Really has been utilizing it quite a lot, and there's a number of support players who have been picking it up and playing it more and more, as it's really good into a lot of the playmaking support, shutting that down with the Black Shield. It works well into things like Rom and Elise with their CC, but also a lot of playmakers such as Thresh and Blitz. So it is kind of making a resurgence in the meta, and has been pretty effective.
Has in general been nice to see how dynamic the metagame has been in a lot of different roles. I mean, mid's got a very wide selection of camps you can go for. Top's very versatile as almost always.
Yeah.
Even jungle's been mixing it up, but I think bottom lane and particularly support has kind of been the fun thing as we've moved through, halfway through the season now.
Yeah, it really has been kind of blown wide open as far as metagame. And Shrimp is going to look to get behind High and kick him in.
Yeah, that can kill. Kick back through. Q's going to miss, but I'm not sure it's going to matter. High with the shockwave, and King grabs the kill.
Nicely done there from Keen and Shrimp. Shrimp actually just setting up in that side brush. They're able to bait in High with Keen going for this pink ward. So he does not know where Lee Sin is. Keen kind of posturing aggressively, knowing that Shrimp is there. The cleanse comes out, but not going to save you when Shrimp is already behind, and just very well executed here by the Dignitas mid lane jungle team.
And this is the thing, Lee Sin is, whenever you have good gank assists for Lee Sin, always feels like a tough time, and LeBlanc has plenty good assist as Keen lands a nice chain to secure his second kill of this one.
Question kind of answered. I mean, someday, at least for now, is going to be heading towards that Titanic Hydra. Some players will go Tiamat into Triforce, but generally speaking, you are expecting him to just go full Titanic once you start down this route. And it will give you a lot of wave pressure, and it's kind of one of the evolutions of split push on some of these champions is people are realizing it's not always just about that 1v1 dueling, which Blade of the Runeking kind of is superior in. It's about how fast you can push the minions to the turret, right? And if you have this massive AoE push with the Titanic Hydra, you can get those minions to the turret faster, you can threaten those objectives faster, and you can also wave clear kind of defensively. It's harder for people to set up dives on you if you can instantly clear out a wave.
It's kind of fun to see Dignitas. Again, we talked about them trying to build on their solid foundations and become more versatile. A lot of first-time champions actually here.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, again, speaks to how much the metagame has been changing as the patches have kind of moved through.
It's been actually a really nice, I think, time for League in the competitive scene. Like, I feel like this season has had a lot of flexibility, and that's the interaction I'm talking about. Counter-Strike comes out preemptively on that hook shot, and Balls is able to do no follow-up damage. It turns it around completely, and someday
looking for the solo kill. Flash forward, needs one last Q, but doesn't have it.
And that is one of the downsides of not going Triforce if you don't have the early CDR to kind of spam those Qs out more often, but it's well played there from Someday. And if you can actually time your Counter-Strike out of that hook shot, it turns what would be a nice offensive trade from Balls into you actually going on the offensive. He has used his escape ability. He now can't retreat. It becomes very difficult for Camille.
See, Balls does return after saving his life, but looks like FlyQuest have had enough of that 1v1. They're going to swap Camille down to that bottom lane and move Braum and Tristan into the 2v1, but Dignitas earlier on the play here going to move 4 people down to take the first turret in bot lane.
And you have to feel Dignitas is the ones who want to go into this 1-3-1 style play. With them getting the first turret, it's going to look to be in their advantage. The question is now, FlyQuest is building up some minions top with the Tristana. Can they look to force more than 1 turret? Can they try to go for 2? Can they try to get the Rift Herald on top of that? Because if they can, then they can even this out or even get the advantage from the play.
Well, they've got a blue buff steal, as looks like Moon also might be starting the Rift Herald. Shrimp, though, going to make that even on total blues, but Moon might be able to get something extra here with the Herald turret. Blow and topside does go down as Turbo able to demolish that one. And looks like High is roaming back up to pushing mid. So FlyQuest will be up an objective here in the total trade. Rift Herald should be theirs.
Yep, not bad at all. And it's kind of just the question now, how much do you get out of that eventual Rift Herald? High could be in some trouble. Flash forward.
Flash binding there. Someday looking for it, but Rift Herald goes down. Someday, though, with the kill.
With that kill on the Rift Herald, though, they can actually pressure mid lane pretty heavily if they want to look for that. A lot of the safe wave clear now gone as High does fall down. And if just Tristana shows up, they could look to dive, but Lemon is rotating over there pretty quickly. It seems like they're happy to just kind of play it slow. Yeah,
Someday going to threaten, but does not make the jump onto Turtle. Dignitas still taking over the red-hand side of the jungle. Moon here, 1v2 right now. Shrimp just trying to steal away this red buff. Both have smite, but no vision in that brush. Turtle moving up, but Lemon going to get caught in transition. Big following up with a Binding King with another chain to land in, plus the Morgana ulti on top of it.
God.
That's just another kill for King.
He just doesn't even get to move. Chain into Binding into another chain. Morgana ultimate. He pretty much was locked down from full to dead there. It can be so frustrating playing against Morgana that CC lasts so long, and when you have something to set it up, like the chains from LeBlanc there, it's pretty free.
Yep. And that's what it's looking like now. Big just rotating through with his jungler, with his mid laner, able to get picks wherever he can. And this map is opening up in a pretty big way for Dignitas. Despite the turret trade being even, you can just see being able to take over more of the jungle. And Someday is getting so much solo pressure as FlyQuest kind of playing catch up at the moment.
Yeah, they are. And it's going to be the question, how do they actually force a fight? How do they actually get to the point where they can have this group fight that they want to do? And you know, at what point do they really start to feel the pressure? Because it's not like they don't have scaling either, right? They have Turtle scaling up on Tristana. Camille does scale well. Orianna is fantastic towards the late game. So they certainly have a lot of advantages in the team fight later in the game. But it's just, how do they actually make Dignitas fight them?
Well, kind of a fun double play here by Fly, actually. They channeled Rift Herald mid, and now we're going onto the Cloud Drake.
Doesn't look like they're actually going to get the mid lane turret, though, so they need to at least get this.
You get the Drake. Turret got low, but
yeah,
not going down.
The Rift, it's kind of clever, but you know, was it actually worthwhile? It's hard to say because you don't get that full turret out of it. Now they're actually zoned off their own turret. So not only do they not get one, but they may get turned around on.
Kane looking for it. Shane lands in again as Lemon dives in. Does get trimmed. He gets stunned by the Cocoon. Ball sleeps after him at FlyQuest. End up with the first kill in the fight, but Lod with a snipe does take down high. Now bullets flying through as Balls eats the last one. Kane again, another chain to leap forward and find Total, but he jumps out of the way as Lemon pops on towards him. FlyQuest is still defending. Great turnaround there from Dig.
Yeah, really nicely done. They realize they can't actually get to the Dragon, but they can cut off their opponents. And High, maybe that last shot should have been blocked by Moon, probably, but they are going to be able to threaten this turret. It's very low.
Another binding.
FlyQuest trying to defend.
Stun onto Kane as Winter's Bite tags him as well. FlyQuest do defend the turret here. But Dig will be back out on the map pretty soon. High respawning just now.
And top lane is pushing against them, it does look like. So we'll see if they're able to get up there and collect that wave before it does crash. That's something that they're certainly going to look to do. And it's something that Dignitas is trying to utilize to keep the pressure up here on the mid lane. They know someone has to go top. The bot lane is going to be shoved in here by Jax. And then you'll have to see, can you hold on here in mid?
Well, looks like Kane again,
connects.
backing onto Turtle. Chain lands in, that should be a kill. Heal's going to get burnt. Keep Turtle safe.
Oh, the binding actually missed there, I guess it looked like. Or, yeah, just barely short or something. I'm not sure what happened there on that. We'll have to watch one more time. As here is the initial play. Keen looking to start the fight off onto High, but they are able to turn it around very well. They have a lot of that AoE fight, and oh, they actually just slipped through a Spiderling, so Moon getting a little bit ahead of High there. It does cause his mid laner to have to go down.
Being able to follow up here, and I don't know how that one ends. Just in a trade as FlyQuest still trying to hammer away at this mid turret. It did get low from the Herald play, but low is not quite good enough as far as getting that gold and opening that space up goes.
Yeah, having these items start to come in now for the LeBlanc, for the Jax is very big though. Having the Gunblade does unlock you in the split push that much more because you can kind of opt into these trades over and over and heal back up. Somebody may want this fight, but it is a red buff Camille, and you have to give a lot more respect over to it now because of that. It does just expire, so making me a liar, but...
Also, it's Trinity Force as well, so certainly not out of any sort of 1v1 duel. Both players will have to play pretty carefully to come out on top.
Make a play though on bot side. A lot of members down there. Somebody is respecting it, but it means he's gonna have to give up a lot of farm, and likely the turret here too. So this is well rotated around by FlyQuest, knowing LeBlanc is topside. They can look to force turrets. That's really one way that they can get an advantage back and eventually force Dignitas to respond, which could push them into that fight that they don't want.
One of the nice things about Tristana of a Someday going to try and leap straight on top of Turtle. Damage is massive. Turtle trying to return Fire Elimination, rooted. Big with another nice binding. And here's the curtain call from Lod. Keen over the wall, going to try and snipe some people down. Big with a big flash ulti, but doesn't quite secure too much else. Spiderling going to eat the last binding there from Morgana. Narrowly escaping as FlyQuest all exit together.
Yeah, Big goes in for the flash ult, but doesn't actually feel like he can stay around to connect it as there's not enough of his team there. They are, again, just trying to zone them off mid lane, though. They have a lot pushing in. They should cash in on this mid lane turret finally. We'll be able to knock that one down.
Turret one going down as Balls tumbles away. Another binding lands, this time onto Moon.
Oh, the red buff? No, okay.
Turret does fall. Dignitas actually the first one to crack open mid. Continuing to match turrets there versus FlyQuest. And Sunday just doesn't need to move right now. Gonna get, again, that Titanic push nice and quickly.
Yeah, you can clear out those waves so fast, and you have double auto reset with your W, as well as that Titanic Hydra. Again, it counts for one of your passive hits, and that's one of the things that makes it more powerful for team fighting too, because oftentimes in a split push you can charge up your passive, but when you're flanking with a team fight, you TP in, you do not have time to prep that. So that allows you to always get that third hit off during a counter strike.
So Lod and Big is going to do some farming, leaving one little Raptor there. Shrimp actually also taking some jungle away, so Dig again doing a nice job spreading out, making sure FlyQuest can't get grouped, and that Turtle does still have some money to spend. Hasn't really completed the first major item just yet, so Fly, despite what they've been able to do with their Tristana, not in a position yet to force a fight A, which is maybe going to be their issue, but even if they could, win one.
And no one is up here responding on the top side, and Dignitas giving the respect that someone probably is coming, but no one was actually in place at all. They could have easily knocked down that turret had they had that information. Credit goes to FlyQuest's vision control for not really allowing their opponents to have those deep wards and know that no one would be up there. But still, they are feeling like, already starting to lag a little bit behind in lane assignments and having the people at the right place at the right time, because when no one can 1v1 the LeBlanc, like, you know, you can't just send your Trista by herself to farm against LeBlanc. You need support, which means that there's going to be an uneven matchup somewhere else.
Yep, gold lead still up for Dig, about 2,000 gold currently in the lead, as Blood Turtle did go finish his static shiv, so Infinity Edge should be up shortly, just needs to farm the last bit.
And ball's roaming up towards mid lane. They are going to try to look for a catch, but right now it's Turtle in trouble.
Going back in, Lemon Nation going to try and turn it around. Good play there from Flight. I know they had to fight out of there, but no kill on the King. He's a FlyQuest again, still playing catch up around the map as Someday gets the bot wave pushing once more.
And it's going to be up to the rest of his team to actually try to wave clear this out, keep them alive, because the three-man squad, if it's jungle, AD carry support, they don't have fantastic wave clear. I mean, yes, they have some with the Morgana and the Jhin, but this is not like super high wave clear.
Good cleanse by High. Forced to burn the Summoner is Big with another accurate binding. Also Infernal Drake up here, so Dignitas just making some space around the objective. Lee Sin and Jax will finish this off very quickly.
As long as that mid lane squad does not get killed and can continue to wave clear, you're going to get advantages elsewhere on the map. So that is really the goal in these split push games. It's not just about Someday succeeding in the side lane. A lot of the difficult play comes down to how do you balance pressuring and wave clearing and, you know, keeping threat on the map as the three-man squad versus not getting caught. Because if you do get caught and your side laner is far away, you can sometimes lose Baron and things like this, and the whole gameplay can fall apart very, very quickly.
Thankfully for Dig, the first part of the plan is going well. Someday's actually looking very good currently, still with the CS lead and just happily, carefree pushing waves down in the bottom side once more. Falls a little bit more item.
He's got the rep up now. Yeah. He wants this fight.
Someday actually leaps over the wall aggressively to flank behind Balls, who's going to have to try and get out of here. Stun, ooh, he's not going to connect, but Shrimp's here to try and finish it off. Q lands in, Balls flashes after it, but Shrimp doesn't follow with the flash kick. Ball's actually going to live.
Huh. I mean, he had a ward available. He could have easily ward hop kick flash, but I guess they're not certain that they can get that kill and not certain they want to commit that much over to it. So either way, they're happy taking the small win.
High with an ulti, trying to catch Keen, but Keen just pops ball for a bit of harassment. Looks like an all-in, I suppose. So nice little feint there from Keen to get a shockwave out of Orianna.
It's so tough dealing with LeBlanc because of that, because she is so evasive. You can just jump forward, distort right back after a Q gunblade, and like you can do these very quick trades, and it's so tough to deal with her in the 1v1 because of that. But at the same time, it can be really hard sometimes for LeBlanc to find effectiveness in a 5v5, where there's so many forms of CC that can hit her, and if she does get locked down, she can very easily go down.
Well, I like the Banshee's Veil second here for Keen as a result. Been a pretty popular item. LeBlanc especially. Stun onto Big by Moon, whose Cocoons have also looked good this game, but FlyQuest again still trying to get the band together and maybe knock down this last outer turret. Turtle does have 2 items now finished, so power is getting there for FlyQuest, but Dignitas just enacting on their plan a little better than FlyQuest, and that gold lead they do have is helping out somewhat, but it's mostly just been a solid execution of the plan they all started in draft.
Yeah, they're playing it very intelligently, and it does look really good for now, but one pick like that can turn the game around. They could look to force around Baron now, or try to aggressively siege, and if you can force Someday into a team fight, and he's not the absolute strongest there, so FlyQuest for now are not going to start with the Baron. They're just going to look to knock down some turrets.
Yep, they'll take that first turret, but may still have a little bit more to come. Now moving over towards the Baron side of the map, but King with some nice wards down on FlyQuest. That time is still pretty short. Shrimp up in 15. Oh, Big may be caught now as well. Could be a bait, but a good Black Shield might keep him alive. Turtle flashes after the jump forward, looking to take him down. Does get Big. As Lod's going to get exhausted. Also chasing, but TP in from Dignitas. Looks like it's King going to join in for the fight, but moving to the stagnation. Takes down Lod on the other side of it now. Gets out from under the chain as he flashes out. Huge.
That is a dead man's plate Elise. This is not even a full AP Elise, and he just erased Lod off the map. And that is one case where Turtle's aggressive plays do come up big, right? He does not get punished for that. They get a pick on the support. They kill off the AD carry as well. And here's the initial play. A nice Cocoon into Shockwave combo. Shrimp gets locked up. Very well set up there by FlyQuest, baiting with that pink ward over the wall. And then Turtle recalling in the side brush here. Big thinks he can move forward, and he decides to commit on the play, feeling like he can actually take him out. And he is right, but this is risky, right? You jump forward like this, if you do not actually kill off Big, with that last shot, you do not have a reset to go back out. But he has the confidence in his team. They can follow up, they move in, they get to play, and then Lod just gets popped by Moon.
Yep, flanked by the very speedy Elise, but certainly an unexpected assassination. A nice play from Moon. That's FlyQuest. A few extra kills after that play. Still no objectives really being taken. Did get the mid-outer turret though, so kind of took the thing they came for and got some extra credit.
Yeah, the gold is pretty much dead even now, right? So it's just who can execute the game plan better. Can FlyQuest get those picks? Can they force Dignitas to get into these team fights and really execute their advantages there? Or can Dignitas slow down the game enough that eventually someday will take over, that he'll get to this unstoppable point on the Jackson? With those 2 items completed, he is getting closer and closer to that. So you do feel like the side lane is a bit on a timer, but as far as the 5v5, FlyQuest is always going to have the edge there, I feel.
Yeah, and you can see Total, kind of the one we can check in as far as how FlyQuest doing is getting towards their goal.
Yeah.
3 items actually now done. Just had a Zeal before, I believe, so Total buying a very big item for himself. And these are the points where a lot of these later game carries really come online. Sure, maybe needs a last whisper, maybe wants a QSS for some extra safety. But as far as initial jumping off points for damage, Total's ready.
And there's not that much armor, right? There's a Dead Man's Plate on Shrimp. That's it for armor right now. So Turtle is at a massively strong point with this kind of Energizer build as it has been coined. You recharge that Warlord's Bloodlust faster, which gives you the move speed, which gives you the healing, and you have so much attack speed, so much crit. And Tristana gains range with levels. So as you get further and further into the game, it's very easy to utilize this extremely high DPS build. This is one of the safest AD carries in team fights.
Yep, the other one is Caitlyn, who's pretty much perma-banned, so kind of one of the reasons Tristana's left him. Might be a full man's Caitlyn, but still effective. And someday, and Balls fight over the Grump. Balls wins.
Yep. And I think that while Caitlyn has some other advantages as far as the actual scaling power and teamfight strength, I think that Tristana is superior there. But you get a lot out of the traps and the zoning and the lane bullying that Caitlyn has.
And now maybe out of this, as the chain attempt on the Balls is going to force a flash. FlyQuest, though, looking to collapse.
And this is the 3rd Infernal, so both teams want to fight very heavily over this. This will give whoever captures it that big advantage for the rest of the game, because both teams have 1 Infernal apiece. You want that added bonus going forward.
Does give FlyQuest an opportunity for a team fight, though.
Exactly. If Dignitas opts into this, FlyQuest can find that 5v5. They could look for the Shockwave.
That's execute correctly.
Turtle's not here yet.
Yeah, Total getting there late. Drake goes over to Shrimp, but the fight's still going to start. Shrimp, he's going to get knocked up. A nice 3-man off from Elimination. Someday, the next one to be jumped in is going to try and take down Turtle. Gets out over the pit as Lod's firing curtain calls in, but the Cocoon is going to keep that back. And actually, it's just 1 kill.
If it's just Shrimp, you know, the advantage definitely goes to Dignitas unless FlyQuest can force something now. And they want to try to head over to the Baron perhaps to get that advantage, knowing that they have kind of lost out on this fight, but they're very low on health. I don't think that they can actually force it. So Turtle's just going to go topside, clear up some waves, and Dignitas definitely getting the advantage on that play.
Yep, happy to trade Shrimp for that 2nd Infernal Drake, which they do get there. Shrimp himself able to collect it.
And FlyQuest was just a bit late to the play. I mean, that was the opportunity that they wanted. They knew that the fight was going to break out, but Turtle was not there in time. He came in pretty late, and now looking for the dive.
It all from high. Someday just on a rampage. Keen barely missing the kill on high with a gunblade, but Lord actually goes down to Balls as he jumps into the backline for an assassination. Balls stuns back in.
Oh, that did it!
Keen. Balls will go down to the trap. Lord getting the kill post-mortem, but Moon now going to jump back in onto Someday. And this is just turning into chaos. Someday with a double stun, but Total leaps forward. Stun lands in. Last shot was true. As Moon looking to keep moving in, but a good kick from Shrimp's going to disengage it.
Yeah, not able to get that reset. Had they been able to kill off Someday there, Turtle maybe could have cleaned up that fight. But it is a pretty scrappy one. FlyQuest low health bars. Someday feels like he can go for the dive, and then Balls flanking him from the side, showing off that burst here from Camille. Just erasing Law and taking him down very, very quickly. And even a really good trade back onto Keen does allow them to stay around and fight this out.
Yep. Again, FlyQuest
Turtle looking again.
Late, but Total with a big flank. Back to the turret. Yeah, Total's going to stay and shoot. Gets a shutdown. But gets rooted and is going to die. No high with the shields. Maybe able to save him big. Grabs the shutdown, but Shrimp falls.
Turtle comes up with another big play there for FlyQuest. Killing off Keen, baiting in Shrimp, and FlyQuest goes 2 for 1, and now somebody has to come back to base on the Jax. He does not really have the ability to stay out there on the map. He has to group up, and that means that more time for FlyQuest, and they could look to get a bigger advantage.
And in true Total fashion, he's got a BF sword, not a QSS that I thought he might have. I think eventually, maybe even quickly, that'll be a Mercurial Scimitar, but that is bold as the turret falls for FlyQuest.
He's a bold player. It's working out this game, though. He has been making a lot of plays. You know, I talked about how it could be pretty tough to initiate, but he's making it happen.
Someday with a big flank, big behind him there with Lod, but High gonna try and lock it down. Blast Cone's gonna barely save the Jax's balls. TP's in for the play. Baron is available, but FlyQuest's gonna slow things down.
And despite quite a few picks on Shrimp post 20 minutes, FlyQuest has not had the confidence to actually look to force around the Baron. That would be such a big objective for them, is when you are that sieging team, it can shut down the split push, you can force them to group up, because then all of a sudden the 3- and 4-man squad cannot actually wave clear effectively against you. That would be a big moment for FlyQuest if they can get it, but it's obviously very risky going for the Baron too, and they're kind of tempering their aggression because of that, feeling like they're still in a pretty comfortable spot.
Yep, just kind of waiting it out. Do actually have a gold lead. It's not very big, but 1,000 gold up's going to feel just fine here late into the game. Balls has also been pretty nice about just pushing out waves and keeping that managed on the other side. Yes, Someday is very strong in a 1v1 with the Frozen Heart now finished for his 3rd item, but
your mobility also goes way up, right? So this is something where you can join in teamfights a little bit more easily, because you have like just over a 3-second cooldown, a 3.6-second cooldown on your leap strike, so you actually have very high mobility jumping in and out of the fight. You're relatively tanky because of those HP stats, and now FlyQuest forcing the issue. Shrimp is alive though, and TP is available on Someday. Dignitas would like to just delay this, force them off, and allow somebody to push, but FlyQuest are going to force the issue.
Yeah, high zoning on the other side as Balls looks to feint for a play big. Going to get the root down for Elimination, who blocks it with the door. Keen flanking around the other side, but he tips out of the way as Lod's going to pop the curtain call. Elimination with the ulti does get Lod to interrupt the ulti, but Someday did commit his teleport, and now Keen's caught on the other side.
I think Someday could have just held on to that. He could have kept pushing. It felt like the Dignitas squad makes such a good job of buying time there, of pushing back FlyQuest, and FlyQuest was not willing to go for that 50-50. Someday should have just kept going. Could have knocked down at least the tier 2 turret and still held on to his teleport, because now he's in this spot where without teleport, it's very dangerous for him to go bot, as FlyQuest could force around.
Okay, Shockwave, no, that's not good onto Someday with the Black Shield on Elimination, blocking a lot of damage, but Total stayed top lane. So that's going to be a mid-tower down, and now Someday going to want more. Stun is great from Moon to prevent Jax from leaping in. I guess Fly maybe thought they were going to lose that tower anyway. Mid-tier 2 falls.
Yeah, give over all that farm to Tristana. Wild Turtle is going to be massive now. Bloodthirster complete, so giving him more raw power as well as some of that survivability in these teamfights. And if you can keep him safe, he is going to be a monster. The pure DPS that he puts out is so high. But there's also a lot of threat from Jax if he is jumping towards him, and he can buy a lot of time with the Counter-Strike and then hop right back out.
Oh, looks like FlyQuest continuing to play around the Baron side of the map. Keen is actually the one forced to move down to that bottom side because he's got the teleport right now. Somebody also looking for a big flank and another pick maybe onto Lod. Good binding there from Big. Stops Camille from Chesky, but Turtle with another flash. There's the kills. He gets a crit on the last auto.
Turtle is making it happen with these aggressive plays. So much confidence. And he is coming up big for the team, and now they are going to go right back to the Baron. They know that Jax does not have his TP, and they're looking to actually set up a pick here. Dignitas may get caught out.
Oh, good flash there from Big, but Ball's going to follow through. Someday's the next target, but FlyQuest regroup behind their top laner.
Yeah, but Big is actually caught out of position. Balls is going to chase him down. That will be a kill. That should be a 5v3 in the extended play. FlyQuest could look to get that Baron and really take a stranglehold on the game, but Someday is making them question because he's pushing up mid. And
oh, they commit the ultimate, and now Shrimp's going to fall. Big does fall to Balls, and that's going to be Baron over to FlyQuest with the jungler falling. Someday is trying to salvage it here, but he's caught out.
Yeah, and smart play there from Balls, checking that push, knowing that Jax could be there. Someday now has no option but to try to crack the base, and he can't really kill Balls under the turret, I don't think. He's going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, actually losing with the Baron up creeps as Baron does fall. The FlyQuest stun looking for Balls, but he holds on to it. Someday, though, still with the Counter-Strike lasts so long.
And Balls is not going to let him get out of here. He's going to try to delay it as much as he can so that Wild Turtle can get here.
There's Turtle forcing the flash already, and that should be an easy cleanup here for Turtle. Needs a few more autos. 1, 2, 3, that's enough. And Turtle, the benefactor of so many good setups here for FlyQuest.
He's been doing so well for himself, and now such a long death timer on Someday. They have the Baron buff. This is very difficult to wave clear against, and Dignitas does not want this team fight. This is this critical juncture that we talked about. If FlyQuest can get that Baron, if they can group up and really force on a Dignitas, there's not many answers left. And Dignitas now, they're facing down the fact that their inhibitor is going to be getting cracked pretty soon.
And this is a team that with momentum is very deadly. FlyQuest, no signs of slowing down, I have to think, as Turtle is able to very easily siege this turret. Level 17 on this Tristana with still an item slot to go. And this mid hit is going to go down.
Yeah, there's just really nothing that Dignitas can do about that. And they didn't even need the 5-man squad. Balls is pushing down bot lane, so they're going to get a big injection of gold in and be able to get even stronger here. They can retreat back to that Earth Dragon, pick up that, buy up their items, and they will be in a very, very good spot.
Well, we'll see exactly what they go and spend, because a mountain of gold for FlyQuest. I'm not even going to... I did check what the gold was. I'm not going to do math. It's a lot. That's the easiest thing I can tell you.
I thought you were making a joke about the Mountain Dragon.
No.
That's
give me far too much
If it was Freak, he would have certainly been making that point.
He would have. That's why I didn't. 6,000 gold up for FlyQuest, so he's going to go back and spend that big trove of money.
And it's just really felt like the issue with Dignitas' draft is they can't actually get LeBlanc into the split push because they don't have enough wave clear without her, and they didn't draft really powerful wave clear, you know, with their AD support and their jungler. And if you can't have that 3-man squad defending by themselves, wave clearing by themselves, it's really difficult to have Jax and LeBlanc in the side lanes for long enough to really get that pressure down.
Yeah, and Lord has been pretty much a non-factor in so many fights. He's getting picked up by a lot of FlyQuest flanks. Train lands on elimination, but he is awfully tanky.
They may try to force here. Camille is bot. This could be a chance for Dignitas to look for a 5v4, but I don't know if they're even confident in that 5v4 with Tristana this strong and having that much...
Turtle's just in! Straight onto Big and try and take him down. Elimination leaps in to protect him. Turtle gets rooted, but he doesn't care.
And all they need to do is buy time. Camille is going to be on this inhibitor turret, and they're going forward.
Assassination finds one as Log gets tagged. Glacial Fit is going to knock him out. Winter's Bite stun, not even needed as high. Able to take down Lord, and Ball's doing work with Someday now forced to answer.
And I think that's going to be all she wrote. I mean, FlyQuest, they are not going to be able to be stopped here. Knock down another inhibitor. They have a minion wave coming in the mid lane, and they can just look to end the game.
That one Mountain Drake enough to deal a little bit of extra damage to these turrets, and with the death timers being long and the Dignitas bottom lane absolutely dead, a kickback for Shrimp might not be enough to save it. Keen, 2 shots almost enough to take him down. The next is exposed, and FlyQuest with a very impressive Game 1 win.
Really well done for FlyQuest, despite getting behind early on some of those plays. That has been their strength. And here they kind of turn their weakness into their strength. Their late game, their mid game was very effective. A Turtle coming up so big for the team, making some of those risky plays on the Tristana, but able to really take over as he was able to capitalize on them, pick up so many kills. He crushed this game on damage and really was a monster for FlyQuest.
I mean, that's the Turtle I think everyone wanted to see when you hear the news that Wild Turtle is joining FlyQuest. Those are the plays that you expect, and Turtle finally delivers.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to deliver it in such a big way, and it's fun to see him succeed in a way where, you know, he's also kind of failed spectacularly, right? Like, he has the confidence to still go for that play style, and it allows him to hard carry this game, it felt like.
Well, we're going to have a look at the game here. You can see the team up on your screen. We've kind of gone through Dignitas' plan. You did highlight that defensive trio may have not been the best choice, but on the FlyQuest side, I think just a really solid draw from them, and I liked especially the just Tristana Braum and then some early stuff to help High and Moon get through the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had a very powerful team fight composition, and they played better around what their win conditions were, right? They were the team that was able to force more upon their opponents, make them enter team fights, siege up turrets, and really get something done. And although Someday is going to outscale the Camille, he never had either the vision control or support to actually get those 1v1s and really start taking over. And LeBlanc was just relegated into essentially a wave clear mid where she's not really going to have a lot of effectiveness. She wants to be in a side lane in 1v1s and 1v2s, this sort of situation where she can kind of scrap and outplay opponents.
And it's tough for King. We're going to have a look at some of his highlights here because his early game did go very well for Dignitas. I mean, King was the reason that so many of these fights actually looked good in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, Keen had a fantastic early game. A TP bot lane, able to turn around that first blood, pick up a kill there. Then they bait in high, they grab another kill for themselves, and it's these kind of scrappy, skirmishy fights that LeBlanc is most effective in, but they simply were not able to get him in these situations much throughout the later stages of the game. They kept picking off High, but High is on a champion where he can simply group up and play a more supportive role. He's kind of be the second fiddle to Wild Turtle, but they were not able to actually have that happen. They were not able to have Keen in a side lane 1v1ing Orion and continue to extend the advantage, and they never got anything big off of these skills. They would get an individual pick, but they wouldn't get a turret. They'd get an individual pick, but no Baron, no massive follow-up to kind of capitalize.
Yeah, and you could see a lot of those, just based on the levels, that was pretty early into the mid-game there. And then at some point, things just started going wrong for Dignitas. And it really was FlyQuest and Wild Turtle, who we're going to have a look at now. So many just Turtle classic plays here. And this is kind of how it all started.
I mean, these are a lot of risky plays, too. I mean,
that's why it's the Turtle classic.
Yeah, executes them very well. Flashing forward onto the Morgana into a binding, but he does get the kill, so he resets. And, you know, looking for these really kind of aggressive plays, Turtle able to join into this team fight. He's able to just jump for it again, looking for more kills, looking to force out summoners, getting somebody to flash out of there, having confidence that his team will protect him and that they will keep him alive, and then jumping onto the LeBlanc. Keen distorting back, thinking that he can maybe escape with the help of Big or perhaps turn around a kill. But again, he's able to stay alive for long enough for them to get not only the first kill, but the second on the Shrimp, and that was really kind of one of the big turning points of the game.
And I think for me as well, Turtle, yeah, pretty big smile there as FlyQuest regrouping after their Game 1 victory. Yeah, I think the support of the team was the thing that really changed it for me, because so many times Turtle made their plays, even on TSM when they won in the spring, and it just looked silly. But here he's jumping in, and Lemon's behind him. High's there with the shield, and Moon especially is there to follow up with just the aggression that FlyQuest are really known for.
And we'll see if they can continue that, or if Dignitas can kind of shape up a bit. You know, it would be interesting to see what this game looked like if they had a wave clear mid, if they have someone like Zyra who can really help out with the support. You know, how effective can somebody be on the Jax? Because it just felt like, although he played well in lane, he never really had a chance to get his work done.
Well, we'll see if Team Dignitas can even up the score when we come back with Game 2 against FlyQuest. Don't touch that browser. We're watching a North American LCS.
Keep these pinks.
Yeah, we're coming. I sped you up, Moon.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, keep going.
I'm not gonna waste ulti for.
I got keep going here. Keep going here. Keep going here.
Yep. Lee Sin.
I'm going.
Go. Jump.
I'm gonna just ulti this for me.
Go. Kill Lee Sin. Go, Baron.